Good morning, everybody. So it looks like it's going to be another good day, at least off the open. We're going to have to see how this plays out, but I really like what I'm seeing as far as action. I think it looks really good. Hopefully it's not doesn't get too frothy too early. That's kind of the hope. That we don't see that. I'm hoping that it doesn't go that way. I don't think that it will, but we have to see. You know. Now, um, let's just keep going here. Let me just send this link out to a couple different places, and then we can begin. So, and then go from there. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Oven. Hey, Humera. But I'm going to start with tech. Just give me 1 second, and then we can begin. I just want to make sure I get this link out. There's a bunch of different places. It's so much easier for those that listen to this later. If you could just subscribe to the channel so that you get the link, it just makes my life so much simpler if I don't have to do this every morning. But I guess that's how I'm going to reach new people anyway. Anyway, so let's just go through what's happening this morning. For those that are in the newsletter, let's just start with NVIDIA since I have it up. Okay, these are the price points that we're in. What we're watching this morning is this channel. And if we flip this channel, we could see a push. For me, there's really no resistance to you're up to about a 300 level stock. So I don't see any sense in doing anything there. I think you're going to bounce around a lot today, and we'll see where these things settle in and where they don't settle in. But you're gonna bounce around a lot. So on a lot of these names, we're just gonna have to deal with it, or you can sell into it. It's up to you. But I don't see any reason to panic or to do anything. In regards to Microsoft, I want to just go over this again. You're breaking out. You look like you're about to take out a new high. It's definitely something that you should be focused on. It looks very good to me, and it looks like it's going to keep going. So I don't think this move's over. This Tesla move, you're bouncing all around this morning. Look, you really can't chase it here. To me, you can't chase it. Does that mean you should be selling it? I don't think so. I mean, we're getting a little extended, and yes, you could come in and you can kind of see what's happening here. Pre-market, you're kind of coming in a little bit now. Maybe somebody had some news or something, and that's why stock's selling down. But I don't really see, a sense in selling into this. That's just how I feel about it. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Overall, I think you're fine. I just think that you're going to have some volatility when you start getting up here, and you're going to have to be able to withstand that. So that's pretty much it. That's really what I wanted to go over today. As far as just look at what's going on out there, right? These indexes are trading up, and they look fairly decent. So I don't really see a reason to change that at all, or to say that we need to be doing something different at all. So let's just see how this plays out, and we'll go from there. But any ideas that you guys want to go over, I'm more than happy to. I think you have a lot of room to run here. I really do. So let's just see how it plays out. Hey Dale, hey G. So good morning. What's your thoughts on Roku? It's telegraphing to you that I'm going to leave these dates in because it's important. It's telegraphing to you that there's an issue, and we don't know what that issue is, right? But it's telling you that there's a problem. You got to the 50-day and you rejected. If you want to play this before earnings, Dale, that's entirely up to you. It's not something I'm going to do. I have no interest in that. November 3rd or earnings, I would really wait for those earnings and then see how we do. For me, it's just it's not really worth the risk. Let me just lower this on one of the computers. So to me, it's just not really worth the risk. So we're going to have to see how that plays out today. But I wouldn't be chasing that. Earnings are Wednesday. I mean, maybe you hold this level, maybe you don't. I'm not really sure. And I'm not really sure that you should be doing anything about that. I think you should be watching and waiting and seeing how we do, and kind of going from there. But overall, it's not something that I'd be really worried about here, or I shouldn't say worried about. It's not something I would be getting involved with. There's too many other really good ideas out there right now. So, and I like that the market's coming down a little bit right now, and that you're seeing some volatility and people are selling pre-market. It's healthy, but you have to watch the names that are not performing well, and Roku's not. Ford to me just looks like it's just going to keep going. I mean, this is exactly what the pattern that we just saw. This pattern's out there a lot, and when you start looking for these patterns in the replicate, this is a classic example of one. So I would really focus on this. I like this. And it's something that you need to understand and just kind of focus on. Maybe it's something that you want to deal with. Maybe it's something that you don't want to deal with. But to me, I like it. And I think that this could continue to go and to push. When you see this pattern, this is very similar to what just happened with Tesla. If we look here. So if you look here, this is a very similar pattern, right? And here we are again. So let's just see how we do. I like it, and I think it could continue. The one part that I always show is this, and now it looks substantially better. And we can get rid of this just to clean this up. But here's your 21-year downtrend. Here's your break of that level, right? And then here's your rally. So, overall, I think that you look great and that you should continue to see how it acts. I mean, that's how I feel about it. And we'll have to figure that out. You have to figure out how you want to play it and how people want to play it. But for me, I think it looks great. So, it's definitely one that I would be paying attention to. BBIG, I mean, it's a little more of a spec play, right? So you're going to have to understand that. Let's just go and take a look at this on a daily. You're getting a little action this morning in it. And let's just take a look. So, yeah, I mean, you're getting a little action in this morning. You have this double cut underneath here. I mean, you have a lot of issues here. Maybe you get to 594. Maybe you get up to 660. I'm not really sure. It's definitely not something I'd be chasing, to say the least. So let's see how, just see how we do and see how it plays out. But, calls for earnings or deadline next week. Which stock? Humara, just be specific on what you're looking. Oh, AMD. Gotcha. I say it. BBIG doesn't really do it for me. I mean, AMD had good earnings, and then the stock just really didn't react the way that people thought it was going to react. So I think you just kind of have to watch that and see how it does. To me, this is pretty clearly a double top, right? Now whether or not you break up and then come back and confirm that remains to be seen. But right now you're just in Wick City, like it's all over the place. So that's not something that I'm really going to chase or want to participate in. It just isn't. I'm going to want to watch and see how we open and go from there. Maybe if you get a green bar, you could kind of play it. I mean, we're already through earnings. You're waiting for NVIDIA's earnings, but I don't think it's going to have that great of an impact on the stock personally. Twilio, Twilio just did not do well at all. And, I think you need to avoid it. When you have long moves like this, you can bounce higher, but you have to realize you have people all in here now that want to sell. And I'm leaving the pre and the post in, but you have people that were all in here, right? I tried to play this 3 times after hours that day that it came out with earnings, and all 3 times it completely rejected levels it should have held. So that leads me to believe that there's probably more selling behind it. So that's not something that I'm really willing to jump into. It's just not. I would want to wait and watch and see. ARCW. I just don't like 12. I don't like how it's acting. Next generation internet. Look, I don't know what's in here. The more I look at what they're talking about, Web 3.0, I do think if they're involved in that, I'd like to know. But I do think that's where this is all going. The more I listen to this, I listened to a great podcast this weekend, and the more I listen to it, the more I'm convinced that that's what's going to happen. But to me, just technically, I'd be looking at these crosses that are coming and how the 8 or the 21 is crossing, how the 50 is starting to point up, and that's going to cross, and that's going to be a golden cross. And we've had this here before, and it led to a little pop. Whether or not that pop consists and goes, we have to see. Now, You also have this level right here, right? And you are getting through that. So I could see why somebody would be in this, and I could see why somebody would be buying it. I mean, I get that. It's definitely something that I get. And out of those two that you gave me, Jacob, I like that more. Let's take a look here. Compassionate Hope, PayPal. So this is one that I keep trying to catch the bottom, and I just keep getting slapped. So it's got to kind of to figure out what it wants to do here. To me, we were talking about this one last night on Sunday Scans. I don't know what you're supposed to do here because it's not holding. You're coming into earnings, on the 8th, and you're trading like these names. You're trading like MasterCard. You're trading like Visa. So does that mean that they're going to have the same kind of prediction? I don't know. To me, it was pretty clear that this was a sell. Now, whether or not it holds today or doesn't hold today, that remains to be seen. But I'm not in a big hurry here to do, anything here. I want to see how this acts and then go from there. So in regards to that, I would wait until I have some kind of pattern. Humara. If I don't have some kind of pattern, I wouldn't be doing it. I mean, it looks to me like a double top. Fuel Cell is one of those names that has just been it's in a lot of the social media rooms. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I mean, you could argue that this was a cup and this was the breakout, and then this is the handle, and you're breaking out above it when you get above this level. I mean, you could make that argument, right? That this was your cup, this is your handle, and now you're going to break. But you'd have to get above 893 for that. And then you have resistance up here at 1075. So I don't know what you're looking for out of it. Also understand why these stocks are moving. They're moving on this bill, this reconciliation bill or infrastructure bill, whichever the heck it is this week. And the chances of that passing are pretty much slim and none. They're so far apart on it, it's not even funny. So just be aware of that. And when that news comes out that it's not going to go, think about it this way. We're going into November. They start shutting down early December. Congress does. You have 4 weeks to pass this, and Biden's overseas. So if you just think about it from that perspective, I'm not saying it doesn't get done. I'm just saying that the chances of it getting done are minute. And based upon that, these companies don't get that funding that they're looking for. Could you go out and buy calls on Spotify? You can. I mean, look. People are understanding this, and it's one that we talked about. I was in the top 10, I think, not this week, the week before. But what I really like about it was, and what people are starting to understand is, this is becoming the go-to company, social media-wise, for other various medias. So right now, more people are going there for Apple, okay, for podcasts than to Apple. Think about that. And Spotify is a paid service. Now, what happens if they start doing that with video and they start having the same terms of service with video? I mean, if I'm thinking about it, the people that run these companies are much smarter than me, right? So they're probably thinking about it. I really think it's something that could be a long-term, just absolute juggernaut. That they have really figured it out versus some of these social media companies. And I understand it's not a social media service, but in a sense, it's becoming one, right? Because this is where people are going to listen to podcasts. They're not going to Apple. And I'm not sure what the difference is or why, but could this work? Yeah. I mean, look, I get over 301 cleanly. You have to be all over this. Because if you're getting through 301, you're going to start talking about 350. You're up here. Like, you're starting to talk about a pretty substantial move that this could have. And so I'm watching this level, but if I was to play options, clear that 301 level and you should be all over this. This could move. If I didn't have 14 stocks or 12 stocks in the newsletter right now, I probably would have had this in there. It's just, you can only have so many stocks and so many things to focus on. I like the SPY today, Jen. I like the action I'm seeing. I like the selling down and not froth that we were seeing earlier today. I'll take 1% to 2% moves for the rest of the year every single day because it means I'll do exceptionally well. But I don't want to run up right away. I want this to build and base. So I'm happy to look at my positions built basing up today, but I think that you have a lot of room here, and you have a lot of room to run on this, like a lot. Like I was showing this earlier today, and I don't mind covering it again, but see this upper channel? I mean, there's nothing until you get to this upper channel, like nothing. So, I mean, what are we going to talk about this, right? I mean, we're over all this. So there's nothing here to stop this. You have this cross coming in, which tells you that you're going to see demand increase. I mean, to me, it's a perfect storm. So LCID, I like. Hey, Brian. So LCID, I like. Look, here's what you're dealing with, right? And that pattern, and what I was trying to explain is when you understand pattern recognition, here, let's get rid of this for a minute. And this is what you have. Okay, what stock looked like this about a week ago? Does this look familiar? This break and then this coming down, and then we start filling the gap, right? Is that what we're seeing here? Now, I'm not comparing these two companies together on a fundamental basis. They're night and day. They might produce 100 cars and sell 100 cars this year. So the valuation is ridiculous. That said, could it grow into its valuation? Yes. Could they be executing at every level? Maybe they are, right? You have to have discipline, but you have to be flexible in how you think, right? So like, I've never been a big fan of the company. Maybe I'm wrong, and you kind of have to keep that fluidity. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's going to work. Technically, I'm looking at this, and I think it's going to run. I think it's going to break and go. So I'll be playing this. And I played it the other day very, very quickly. It broke out. I did a very quick trade. But I think this could go again today. And hopefully the best thing that could happen to this is that you get one of these little dojis that just sit there, because then you can pick your levels, right? Then you could say, oh, well, if I break above that doji, it's on. If I break below that doji, I'm out, right? All of a sudden you can pick it. This kind of range makes it a little harder. Now, if you go look at what Tesla did, it did something like that, right? You had this wedge, and then you had the next wedge, which was an inside day. That's what I'm hoping for from LCID today. And then it picks a direction. Okay, once we pick that direction, that was it. We went. So I think that there's a lot of similarities in those two charts. And I'm very big on pattern recognition, Brian, as you're probably aware. ENPH, I think, did exceptionally well. And you're seeing people step up and still buy it. And they're buying winners. And that's not stopping. I don't think that's going to stop, that people are buying winners. I think it's going to continue. I think they're going to push the winners and push the stocks that they don't need to worry about earnings for. You don't have to worry about earnings now until February. That means that I don't have an event that's going to shake me out of that stock. These are some great questions today, by the way. So I like that, but also understand that you have another player that's coming out this week. So, and I don't know that you're going to get up and in this before earnings, but the fact that earnings are coming out and that you could, if you bought this break, you could be in it before earnings and be doing fairly well. So I like ENPH. If it makes a higher high, it'll go. Hey, you two, good morning. Ford I covered. Hopefully you saw it. If not, let me know and I'll run through it again. You can also just rewind back. Love, it keeps trying and it keeps failing. I don't like when companies do this. I'm not a big fan of these long, full red bars that are down. Long, full red bar that are down. That doesn't do it for me, right? That doesn't make me warm and fuzzy. I like when they're, if it's okay if it's like a wick, but when you start seeing that, and especially you have to realize that you're seeing that as you're building up. So that means to me that I could break down. So that would be a concern of mine. But overall, I mean, I see the chart. It looks decent, but it's not something I'm going to chase. I don't like how wild it is, right? It's too wild for me. So I'd get stopped out of this. I know how I trade, and I'd be stopped out. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Hey, G. Apron. So I don't know if you're asking from the newsletter standpoint or you're just asking in general. Look, I like it. You have earnings coming up, okay? And that's the move. This is the move I wanted to see. We got it. And this is why it's so important when I say that to have discipline, right? Have discipline. It's, I can't stress it enough. Be rigid, right? But to an extent. Um, I like the idea of telling people to be fluid and be disciplined, because if you kicked it out before it hit the stop, right, then you're not in it. And you can't use 1 minute being down as the stop. It's silly, because they know where your stop levels are. So they trigger you, especially on smaller cap names. And this reversal is pretty much telling you everything you need to know about earnings, in my opinion. So I think they're going to have a good quarter. Now, how you trade that quarter is going to be up to the individual. But I do like that name. Hey, D. So fuel cell I just covered. Hopefully you saw it. Tesla I covered earlier. I think I covered it, but I talked about it. Look, I think it's going to keep going. Could we sell down today? Sure. Could you backfill some? Absolutely. Does that mean I'm going to be getting out of it? Probably not. So, I have look, just on the short-term account, I have these positions in, right? So I don't see any reason to do a darn thing with it. I mean, I'm hitting a new high. What am I going to be upset because I'm not at the absolute high as I was pre-market? Just sit with it. Leave it alone. Let it do its thing, right? People need to learn to let it ride. And I would let this ride. I really would. To me, D, it could just be an absolute monster. And people think that it's over. I don't think it's over. I don't think people fully grasp what would happen to if all the Ubers and all the Lyfts start using Teslas. I don't think people are understanding where this could go. I think they're grossly underestimating that comment. So, and sometimes that happens. Fuel cell 893. I'll just review it very quickly. ARQQ. So I have these levels in from last time when we were playing it. Looks like pre-market, you're getting a little push. Look, if you open up over that line, you could push to 26. I'm not going to tell you can't. So if you open up over this line right here and you want to play it, so if you break over 23, we're going to call it, right? You could push to this level. You could do that. Let's clean this up a little bit. So, but you could easily push to that level. Absolutely on that. Let's just keep going. URNM. Hold on one second. Let me get a little more coffee. Bear with me one second. So sorry about that. Needed a little more coffee. So let's get back to it. Look, this is a double top, right? So, and why do I say it's a double top? Well, this one's pretty easy to read. Okay. So let me explain them. You're up here, you overcut that level, right? Just by a little bit. That's all you need to do. This was your low, and now you've broken that low right here. So what are you doing this morning? So, now I'm opening up under the 21 day. This is not where you want to be. This leads me to believe that you're probably coming down to the 50 day, or you're going to come down to this level. But this is a double top, no matter how you look at it. And why is it a double top? Because I took out this lower low right here. So now it needs to confirm and break out before I'd even consider that trade. INDA, CPER. Let's do INDA and see what's going on there. Yeah, I mean, look, that does not look good. Same thing. Undercut, right? You undercut your top here. It's a double top. Here's your low, and then you broke your low, and you're below the 50 day. I'd be really careful there. I don't know what's going on fundamentally in Italy. So let's just keep going. CPE. Is that what you're referring to? It's CPER. The copper index. Yeah, I mean, look, commodities, you're seeing them come in. I wouldn't be chasing this either. You can see it right here. And usually what I do with this name, if you're interested in copper, and I'm not saying not to buy this, but I would always look at this because this is how it trades. And their earnings always tell you what's going on, right? They always tell you what's going on. And you can see this is something we were playing for a while. I like that. So the Sox, I like the Sox a lot here. I really do. And I think you're going to break out. You know, that's my thought on it. And I think you're going to do it on the video's earnings. That's my story, and I'm holding to it. So I think you have plenty of time here to buy this, and I think this looks exceptional. And if you have a long-term account and you don't want to pick individual names because you're sick of getting stopped out on AMD and Taiwan Semi, you know, I would be buying this and just burying it for the next 6 months because I think you're going to do exceptionally well with this. I really do. So let's just keep going here. Plug. So Plug was the one, again, that this whole space, like this is the one that makes the most sense that people are chasing. And maybe it works. But for me, you know, I'm a little ahead of myself and understand what's going on here. I'm not saying this can't be a trade today, but just understand that when you come out with earnings, which is coming out, it's kind of irrelevant. All you're really looking for is this infrastructure bill going to get through and how much money is going to go to these companies? That's what you're looking for. So this is a huge play on that, right? Playing this it's no different than playing X right now. I'm playing steel stocks. So just consider that. And you're right here. I mean, you're doing everything right? I mean, you are doing everything right. And you're making a new high today. So could this keep going? Absolutely. Chart looks excellent. Could it keep going? Yeah. I mean, maybe it keeps going until the bill doesn't get done, or maybe the bill gets done and then it sells off. But, you know, it could be a $50 stock by then, right? I mean, we're just talking. So I mean, that's all I'm doing. So I'm just painting both sides of the picture. I mean, there's no reason you're not getting to this level, right? Like zero. You know, the more I look at it, the more I like it, but it's a trade. Your relative volume fell off a little bit, but it's still high. And your volume by price, okay, you're over. Look, let's get rid of this for a moment. And let's get rid of this. And let's just look at this for a minute, Brian. And let's get rid of these levels so we don't confuse them. We'll get rid of all the horizontal lines. Okay, so I'm over volume by price VWAP. I have not been over volume by price VWAP for some time, right? So that's pretty significant. And I have nothing in here that would concern me, right? So, I mean, you can also just throw another, I'm kind of curious about where we are here. I don't know why it won't let me click on that. Should. There we go. Yeah, I mean, look, from the peak here, you're above that level. Okay, so you're even from your absolute high, which is really one of the only ways I use anchored VWAP. You know, look at where you're at. And so to me, yeah, this could push. And you have no supply in here. So I like this. I like this as a trade. I think it's a great idea, Brian. So anytime, Jen. My pleasure. Bob, if you're in them, I'm not selling a share of them. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I want to see where we open. But, you know, look, they expire this week. I expect them to continue to go. I think we'll be up. You know, give me 1 second. I can tell you exactly what's going on there and where you're going to be. So it looks like, I mean, right now it looks like the Tesla calls would open up 100%. And it looks like the NVIDIA calls are going to open up 75%. You have to see where you're at. You can lock it in if you want. I'm going to let it ride for a little bit and just see how the day plays out. But they both look great. And they're both hitting new highs. And we'll go over it in the trading room. So we'll figure it out. But I'm not sure yet. You know, we'll probably just move to answer your question, Bob, I'm probably going to keep moving the stops up until we get stopped out because they expire this week, right? But I mean, that Tesla call could be, you know, Tesla could be 1,200 today. It could be 1,000 today. You just don't know. So it depends how much risk you're willing to take. I know how much risk I'm willing to take. So, I mean, I would not go past break even. Let me leave it at that. Mara, something's going on here with these names. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. And if somebody has an answer for me, let me know. Hut looks like it's breaking out, right? BTBT breaking out. What's going on here? Right? We're just wedging in. So I don't know. I don't know that that's the move to buy that one, right? So, all right. Got a little more coffee, and let's just keep going. Thoughts on WK? Hey, John. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the company. You're coming into earnings. The last time earnings were really good. This time you sold down. This time you went up and peaked. So you're playing the earnings game, right? That's up to you. It's not something I'm going to do. I'm not going to play that game. So, it's definitely something that I would watch, but it's not something I would be jumping in front of that. It does look good. Don't get me wrong, right? You're building a cup here. Maybe this could be the handle eventually, but it's not something I'd be jumping into. NVIDIA and Zane. NVIDIA I went over. I think I went over. I'll do it again very quickly. There's no reason to do anything here. I mean, I like it, and I'm going to just continue to hold it. So I like the trade a lot. Netflix. So, in regards to Netflix, any pullbacks or buys at this point. I mean, you can see what you're doing. You're flagging, right? Building a flag, breaking out. Flagging, building a flag, breaking out. This will be the next flag that'll build, and then you'll break out again. I mean, there's no reason this is not going higher. I mean, they absolutely crushed earnings, and the Squid Game was great, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know if you watched it or not, but it was really good. Hey, Shane, good morning. All right, so let me just get to some other names. Morning, BT on the move up. Yeah, I mean, like, look, the more I look at this stuff, the more mainstream this stuff is going to become. I think that's becoming obvious. I'm not buying this one at this level. I mean, it's not appealing to me. It's just not, for a lot of reasons. I think that this really is shaping up to outperform it. I think the chart on this looks so much better and so much cleaner. Like, I just think this is the one that people need to be involved with. So this is the one that I would tell people that they should be looking at. This is the one I really like. And I think that it could really work. So something to consider. I really do. I like it. But could Bitcoin move up? Yes, it can. I think they both are going to move up. But they're going to be volatile too. You have to be willing to be in these and get cut in half and be willing to add to them, right? And just build a large position. Like, say you want to own, I don't know what your number is on this stuff, Shock, but let's say you want to own a $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. The way to do it is to average dollar cost every month, so that you're not dealing with the volatility as much. You just average into it, right? SMY. So, look, you're running right up here. Maybe it gets to that, maybe it doesn't. But you have a lot of resistance there. So I would be really careful with that name. SAIA. So, yeah, I mean, it ran on earnings. I mean, I'm not chasing that. Maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's a tough one to chase. I mean, really what you're doing is, like, you just have so much. You have to realize that your stop now is here, right? So you almost need another bar to develop before you can even consider buying it. At least I would. And then I need to watch this level right here and see how we do. So, but it's not something I'd be chasing. On exploded up on ours. Let's just keep going. Very well could. Specialty semiconductor companies. Yeah, I mean, it very well could. It very well could continue to do that. Absolutely. That's exactly what you want to see. That's the type of move that you're going to see. It's why I keep saying, look at the stocks, look at the semiconductors. I think that they're going to move. And could this keep going? Absolutely. It absolutely could. Edward, to me, it's pretty simple. Like, I was going through this the other day, And that's what you're looking at. Okay, I've got a breakdown. I tried to make a higher high. I reversed and failed. I'm forming a bear flag under the 21 day. Okay, people are trying to extrapolate this out, and I see this a lot when people try to do this. They're trying to extrapolate this out and saying, oh, it's going to be just like LC. Well, you don't know that. LC services their loans. UPST doesn't. Okay, UPST is the middle guy. Lending Club's not always the middle guy. So you have to understand that a little bit, right? So what UPST does is just find people that are going to lend money. It's very different. So maybe LC is kicking their butt. But if you want to talk about what chart looks better, it's Lending Club. I mean, if it takes it another high, it's going to go up again, right? You're just going to see more people realize that if they want to be in there, they're going to have to pay up. And that's what you're going to start seeing. So unbelievable. So I'm sorry, I'm just reading something that someone just sent to me. It's actually pretty good news. So I like LC more. Microsoft, I think, looks great. Okay. Microsoft, I think, looks absolutely great. And I think that this could continue to go. Look, I do. I think that these could absolutely continue to go. And there are definitely things that, we have to watch and we have to look at, but maybe they go, maybe they don't. I don't think there's really much to do there. I really don't. I just don't think there's much to do there. You just leave it alone. I mean, I have a position in it. I've done nothing, and I'll see how it acts off the open. But I just don't see a sense in doing anything with it. It just, to me, it looks great. But we're going to see how we act. Oh, you're welcome, Bob. Hey, buddy. How are you? So ARC K, ARC F. Okay. ARC K. So you're just kind of basing here, right? And you're not really doing anything. And you're in the middle of everything. Your 200-day, your point of control, your VWAP on volume by price. Like, why would you look at this? I mean, I'm not saying that eventually it can't work, but I mean, yeah, I mean, everything, like, you're finally above this anchored VWAP, but there's too much going on in here that doesn't have my interest. So that's definitely one die that I would wait on, to say the least. ARC F we can look at as well. So ARC F to me is something, you could just watch and see how this acts. And you just, sit there and watch it. To me, it's not something that I would be, look, it's not something that I'm going to be telling you have to run into here either. I'm not really a fan of that. I don't like how you're getting stuck where all this volume is. You're just getting stuck in here. This could go on for some time. So let's just see how long that goes on. DXCM. So DXCM, I mean, that's a huge breakout, right? So look, I mean, when you break these and you break these channels, it can go, but you're playing a game, right? You're playing that game that you're going to break above the 627.81 and keep going. And that's what you're looking for. Maybe it does that, maybe it doesn't, but that's really what you have to look for and what you have to focus on. WWE and FDX. Yeah, I mean, look, this is acting very well. I think this looks great. I mean, I don't know what earnings are going to be. You never know with this company. I mean, last time was a disaster, but this looks like it's going to go. And you're above all your real resistance. So that could work, but you're coming in the earnings. So you're playing that earnings move, right? November 4th, you're playing that a little bit. Crocs I like. I mean, I think that's, I have it on the list. I'm just watching that level, that 163 level on Crocs. If I can get above that 163 and a quarter, it's definitely of interest to me, to say the least. I mean, it definitely is. So yeah, I like Squid Game. I watched the whole thing. I actually binged it. It was actually, I thought it was really very well done. Um, BNTX, Sumet, look, I think that these companies have had their run, and I think they're done. It doesn't mean that they can't trade up, but I think the days of this are over. Maybe it can work its way back into that, but the way that this 50-day is pointing down, the 21's trying, but it's not something that I would want to be a party to. I would just, good morning. I would be really careful with these names. It's just, you have to understand that all this, and I'm not getting political, I'm just stating facts. All this was 99% rates. We're all going to get vaccinated. This is all going to stop. We're going to go back to life at normal. Okay. Now you're fast forward, you're 4 months out, and you might need 3 shots. Maybe that'll do it. And, people don't want to hear that. So now you have people that are going to be hesitant to get vaccinated. And it's a personal choice, in my opinion. I don't really want to talk about it, but you have to think about it from a fundamental company. Like when you start looking at these names, how many people are going to pass on this, right? Versus how many people are going to get it. And I think that that's really what you have to focus on. I really think that that's, it's a focus, and it's something that you have to think about. To me, I think they've had their best days. So I would be careful. I would be really careful there. ZS. Short, acts great. Nothing to say. I mean, acts excellent. I'm not chasing it off of this, but if you're in here, stay with it. I mean, look, you came right down to your 50-day and then ran right up. It looks awesome. Thanks, Jacques. Yeah, please like this and subscribe to the channel. It makes my life so much easier in the morning to not be sending out links to people. I appreciate it. And also like it because I want to get in front of more people. So look, here's team. You ran up here. Now you have to see if you're going to hold or are you going to reject. Right now you're holding that line. Let's see how that plays out. There's a couple different ways to play this. Look, if you get above this close off the open, let's call it 450. You could look at buying it there and then using this low as your stop, right? That gives you an 800, well, it actually gives you per 100 shares gives you $19. It's still kind of heavy, isn't it? So you're going to have to, take some risk if you want to be in there. I don't see another way in. I just don't. And I think it can continue to go. Just like we traded it down here and we did very well with it. And then you broke this level and we got stopped out. And then it kept going. That happens, but we made money. Microsoft calls, you have to make a decision if you're willing to hold them or not. You're basically flat this morning, which means that they may open down to not. So, worst case scenario, you probably put it at break even. But I think we're up in them about 25, 30%. So I don't know. It all depends on what the opening price. But I wouldn't let them go past break even. You can always put them back on. And no reason to take a loss. SPXL on something that expires this week, because you just don't know what Microsoft's going to do this week. It could just flatline, right? We just don't know. We think it's going to go up. I think it's going to go up, but it doesn't mean that it is going to go up. Right here. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you could totally play this. I think that you could be playing this off that break and just be staying with it. I think people have done very well doing that. So I don't think there's anything to do there, Francis. I think you have to figure out how much risk you're willing to take, right? I mean, that's really what you have to think about. How much risk are you willing to take? To me, setting a trailing stop on that's very difficult. It's difficult because how are you going to quantify your risk, right, on a trailing stop? I find that very hard. I would use levels to determine if I'm going to get in or out of something. So trailing stops you could use once you're up, right? So let's say you're up 10 points on it for the day. Then you could just say, hey, I'm going to give it 5 points of risk, and then I want out, right? I mean, you could figure it out that way. Realistically, what you're supposed to do is figure out the average true range of the stock. and you can kind of figure that out. But, this thing could have 10% swings. It does have 10% swings. You have to be willing to take that. If you're not, it might not be the vehicle. You might be better off just playing options on it, deep in the money calls. FDX. It's not an easy one to put a stop on like that. Look, you have issues here. You have to get through this. It's 9:16. I'm going to have to run through this very quickly. So I'm going to do this like very speedily. I like Overstock here. I think this can continue to go. It's on my short list. I like this trade a lot. So it's there. Let's just keep going. We talked about a little bit ago. So I look, it looks to me like it's finally going to get over that level. We were talking about breaking 144 and what it was going to do, and it got to 153. Now you have to see if it gets through 153 to get to 158, and it very well could. So Facebook, I can cover. Look, I think Facebook has a lot of issues. Does that mean it can't trade up? It can, but I'm sitting right on point of control. It's the most volume I have in one area. I'm trying to get above the 200-day. To me, it feels like it's going to roll again. I'm on the short side on this name. It's not something that I'm looking at. Apron, I already did. I'll do it really quickly. So I'm looking to get above 925. Earnings are coming out shortly. Above 925, I think this sees another push. After coming out with this handle, after this cup. That's your breakout. So getting that probably pushes us higher. So I'm great. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. So, I'm watching this. If this can get above that 96.21, I think you have to look at this because this could keep going. It's a big name and people want to own it. So, coin, yeah. So coin I looked at, you're kind of wedged in there, right between this line. You need to break above that 327.15 and stay there. MA, NIO, I'll do real quick. NIO has issues. I wouldn't even be playing with that. You need to hold here. You really need to hold here because if you don't, you have problems. So maybe people are jumping ship and getting out of the way. You do have an issue with them being Chinese based. It is a problem. So just consider that. Laura, just look for ETHA. If you don't have that on them, if Ameritrade doesn't let you buy it, just buy ETHA. That's it's like an ETF. You can look into what it is before you make that decision for yourself. Crowd clearly keeps rejecting. So if you're rejecting and I'm coming into earnings, why would I buy you versus buying this? I just wouldn't, right? Doesn't make any sense, right? So it's kind of how I'm looking at it. All right, everybody, I have to jump here and get ready for the day. Everyone have a great day.